First up, I want to say for many of you, you may be here from the Mayhem reactions. You may have seen the reaction videos that I've been doing, and I thank you for tuning in to check out what the Morning Mayhem is all about. So if you're new here from those, welcome. That said, I've started doing reaction videos to movies, TV show trailers, most recently music videos. If you're into that kind of thing, I've got more on the ways to check those out. So this story may act a little bit of as like a bridge between some of the music that I've been doing lately and the reactions to that to more of these stories that I cover on a regular basis. So jumping into this is from Bounding Into Comics. Great source. Again, for those of you that are new, all my sources are always going to be listed below. A lot of the folks that I do mention over the course of the show, I'm going to have their socials and pages and stuff like that listed below as well, so you can always check those out. I'm not getting into anything too heavy this week, but I always like the fact that you guys can go behind me and fact check out my sources, make sure I'm not just lying to you. I do significantly more research and have more transparency than a lot of mainstream media. So I just want you to be aware that I'm not, while I do have my own bias, I'm not trying to pull the wool over your eyes. I'm trying to be as transparent as possible, let you get to your own understanding of things, even if it's different than my own. I'm all about it. Just want to be the gateway into the information world for some stuff. Anyways, getting into the first story here. This is from Bounding Into Comics. I Stand Alone, the Sully Erna story review, a rockumentary that knows its audience. So before we get into it, there's Sully right there. First of all, Godsmack's been around for quite a while. I've seen these guys in concert twice. I think just twice. I've seen them in concert twice. The first time I saw them was the first time I saw Metallica, and they absolutely blew me away. I was probably 10 or 12 feet from the stage, I'd say, and the stage was in the center of the arena, and when Metallica played, the whole stage like rotated very, very slowly. So if James started here, as he rotated around the show, he kind of ended up back in front of you. It was really, really cool. Godsmack came out and they just blew the roof off. I mean, I was so blown away. I was already a fan of Godsmack, already liked them, but they were phenomenal in concert. Absolutely phenomenal. Great presence, great raw talent. We're going to talk about some of Sully's background a little bit right here, but just absolutely amazing. And then the other time I saw him, which I think was the tour that inspired that You Cry Like a Bitch song or whatever, about who was that about? Nikki Sixx, I think, from Motley Crue. So I saw them on that tour when they were opening up with Theory of a Dead Man, and I don't remember who else. I don't remember catching all the openers. I do remember catching Godsmack, and they opened for Motley Crue. They were on their Dr. Feelgood anniversary tour, I want to say it was, and they put on an awesome show for being an aged band for sure. But Godsmack stole the show. Godsmack, I mean, they didn't blow Metallica off the stage because it's Metallica, but they absolutely blew Motley Crue off the stage. Did a phenomenal job. If you've never seen them in concert, or if you never listen to their music, I do highly recommend them if you're into rock. Nothing over the top metal heavy or anything like that, but just awesome grooving tunes. And it is heavy. I mean, it's pretty heavy. Vocals are great. The structure is great. I just big fan of theirs. Like them a lot, and I do recommend. Let's go ahead and get into this article from Bounding Into Comics. It says, something you should know about me is I'm a sucker for two things: rock music that slaps and obscure movies that come my way serendipitously. This is especially true for documentaries I was once unaware of that explore interesting people, music, alternative history, or the inside story of a good movie. Concerning the first two topics of interest, it doesn't have to center around the desired genre, but bands and musicians nonetheless make for some of the best human interest pieces. This is a reason Behind the Music was such a popular series, and why the public is still obsessed with Kurt Cobain and the dreaded 27 Club. Tragedy is compelling. I remember Behind the Music. Behind the Music was some really cool stuff. When they were artists that I was familiar with, or at least vaguely familiar with, was it Family Guy mocked the Leif Garrett one, which was an amazing, fascinating story, but I didn't grow up knowing who Leif Garrett was, but a lot of these other bands I did, and it was very cool. Very cool. Is this the trailer, I guess? So you guys can see that. All right, let's see. Let's play the trailer.
Most people spend their entire lives just trying to figure out who they want to be. Somehow, from a really young age, I just knew what I wanted to do with my life. But when you're raised in one of the most violent cities in America, like Lawrence, Mass.
Get on the ground right now!
The body of the man found here has yet to be
3 people killed overnight in Lawrence.
It's really easy to make one bad decision and either end up dead or in jail. You have to get tough real quick to survive this place.
There was a lot of areas that you just avoided, especially where we lived.
I'm going to pause it just because normally I do pause trailers and stuff like that, so I don't get any kind of copyright strikes. Don't know if I'm going to get one on this, but it was always funny to me. He when he's a singer, he's all rough and he's all into it, and you know, like British people, when they sing, a lot of times they sound American English because there's a lack of accent and dialect, unless of course you're like country or something like that. But Sully, it was funny whenever they would stop playing at the concert and they'd be in between songs, they start talking. He had that Boston accent, you know. I can't do a Boston accent. He's like, get in the car. Get in the car. Hey guy. It's like, it's not a whiny, but it was more of a tinny compared to a singing voice, more of a little tinny, New England kind of accent there. And it was always funny to me because it was so different than his singing voice. So I'm hearing that again in this, and it's just taking me back. It's been a while since I even thought of Godsmack, honestly.
I had next door neighbors that were rapists. I watched people get beat almost to death just for wearing the wrong colors because you weren't in their gang. As years and years developed, I got really good at being bad. I was starting to really live that lifestyle and the partying, the drinking. I just remember I was in the wrong place at the wrong time. I pulled the shotgun up to this kid's face.
I started to turn my head. I hear, shh, shh.
And as he got close to me, I pulled the trigger. I had every challenge in the world. Thankfully, I had music in my life. And I remember thinking, everything else is going to be a hobby, and music is what I'm going to do for a living.
The music business, there's very few people that make it to the big time.
My mind was becoming my worst enemy. Through the pain I was experiencing, something really beautiful was happening.
Sully called me.
He's putting this band together and he wanted to sing.
Hey!
He's sounding like a wild goat in heat. And I went, oh my God, you're awful.
You could feel something happening.
Well, who's number one? Yeah, Godsmack. I said, well, who's Godsmack?
Sully is driven. That's what he always was and still is.
We're lucky.
What was Godsmack? Godsmack was is that an Alice in Chains song? Am I wrong? Yeah, it was an Alice in Chains song. Godsmack was an Alice in Chains song. Thank you very much. Let's see, just a little bit more. I know this is kind of a longer trailer, I guess. Didn't know it was gonna be this long. Sorry, guys.
We didn't end up dead or in jail. And music, it was just a savior for us.
As tough as it was, I wouldn't change my past for anything.
Okay. Just pause there so something else doesn't kick in. Okay, all right. Obviously heard a lot of music songs that a Godsmack fan would be familiar with. Let's keep rolling through here. So he kind of gives his review here of what he's seen and what he wishes he would have seen more of. I don't think there's a ton here, so I'll try to skip through it as much as possible. It says, there's also nothing better than a poignant rags to riches story. It's the American dream, all wrapped in one person who gives average people hope by telling their tale. Sully Erna, the lead vocalist of Godsmack, has a story like that with all the fixings, and it is covered in the feature documentary Standalone, based on his memoir, The Past We Choose. It aired on AXS TV on May 19th, and I gave it a watch with a piqued interest. Naturally, it's called the Sully Erna story, so the entire thing is centered on him and his journey to stardom. To make that clear, the film starts with Erna visiting a middle school in Lawrence, Massachusetts to give a motivational speech to some kids. It then shifts to talking about his upbringing in Lawrence, which was both rough and full of promise. Erna grew up showing an interest in it and a gift for music at an early age. He excelled at the drums, but as his record collection and fascination with rock grew, he decided he wanted to be a rock star more than anything. One of the things that I definitely remember, and yeah, he jumps drumming. He jumps back on it here. But yeah, I remember when I saw him live both times, Sully got on the drums and like he would have a drum off with his drummer, and he was phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. I mean, the dude's got a voice, he can play guitar. He's got a very strong presence as a frontman for sure, and as a drummer, awesome. I mean, awesome. Dude's just awesome. It says he joined bands of varying styles, starting in the 80s as part of a hair metal act, and later more conventional hard rock bands before Godsmack was ever on the horizon. His calling took him down a few paths, some dark and some profitable. His life events run the gamut. That checks all the usual boxes of sex, drugs, and rock and roll, trauma, and dysfunctional relationships. He dated strippers involved with the wrong people. He nearly overdosed and died. His first band was signed and fizzled out, strained relations with his father, etc. Pretty much the norm. The most vivid of these personal recollections was a party Erna attended when he was 18, bored, and the night winding down. He and his friends were ready to leave when Erna bumped into a random guy, spilled beer on him, and started trading punches with him. One thing led to another, and the fight spilled outside where one of Erna's mates showed him a shotgun he had stashed in his trunk. Out of desperation, he grabbed it, aimed it at the guy, trying to get him, and he still wasn't backing down. Anyone who's seen enough movies or true crime with adequate twists can probably guess what happened next. Erna pulled the trigger and it went click. The gun was empty precisely in case something like this happened. I figured it would end like that, but the way they told it had me second guessing myself. Erna had more stories and more fights to tell, but that one was the highlight. From there, the documentary sort of coast along the same lines as BTM and an episode of Biography. Let's see. Yeah, here it is. He's going to talk about Godsmack. If you expect the same level of drama when they get to the Godsmack portion of his life, you're going to be disappointed. They devote roughly 20 minutes, if that, to the band, and the chapter boils down to their formation. Erna taking up singing and local radio stations playing their debut album. It's by the numbers and a little too clean, which complements the wraparound motivational speech but downplays interesting aspects of Erna's life that are left hanging. So I'll just stop there. So yeah, apparently it doesn't go into a lot of the Godsmack stuff and more of just Sully's life, and that's fine. I mean, the dude seems to have a pretty interesting life, and I think a lot of artists do. So I've got no beef with it. I think that's cool. I'll probably check it out at some point. I don't usually get a whole lot of downtime to watch TV shows and movies and stuff like that. So when I do, I usually just sit down and I binge as much as I can, because who knows when the next time I'm going to be able to sit down and watch something is. I have a movie watching night planned with my buddy Dustin to watch Late Night with the Devil, and maybe something else too. I don't know. And he wanted to put it on the calendar, and I have no idea when I can do it because the calendar is full. The calendar is full. So it's definitely something I would give some time to, invest my attention to. I do think Sully is an incredibly talented artist, incredibly talented. If you've ever seen any of his live videos or seen him live, I'm sure you think the same thing. Love him, like him, hate him or not, the dude is just full of talent. So anyways, that's that right there. He's got I Stand Alone. The Sully Erna story is out, and like I said, it was on AXS TV or whatever, Access TV. Don't know where it's at now, so I do apologize. I wish I had that information for you, but I do not. But yeah, I'm sure you can Google it or look it up on your streaming platform, and somebody's probably got it. So if that's something that you're interested in, let me know in the comments below if you've already checked it out or you plan on checking it out. I'd like to hear what other people think about it.
Hey guys, thanks for checking out this clip from the Morning Mayhem. Remember, this is just a portion of the full show that comes out every Friday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. If you hadn't already, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the full shows or these tasty little nuggets.